Hey everyone, Desi's here with another video, and in this video I just wanted to make a little bit of an update on the Project Quarm situation. I'm sure most of you are already aware of this. It's been news for about 2 days now, but I figured I just wanted to throw something out there as some sort of resolution to my last video of sorts. But we did receive an announcement from Secrets in the Discord chat about Project Quarm finding an agreement with Daybreak Games, so they will be continuing to be online in the near future, hopefully. But with this agreement comes a few modifications to the server and a few more limitations, I would say, that somewhat changed the server from its original sort of identity. However, I am very grateful that Secrets and the Project Quarm team did end up having an agreement with Daybreak Games. That is a pretty cool precedent to have, especially since Project 1999 seemed to be the only emulator with an official blessing from Daybreak Games in the past. So it's really cool that there is that agreement, because there is just more certainty that Project Quarm will exist into the future with the blessing from the actual holder of the IP. So that is definitely a really good piece of news. I will just paraphrase what Secret said in her message here, but there's some exciting news to share. Project Quarm, it's been offline for a few weeks now, it's kind of crazy. It went by really quick, to be honest. And they shut down the server as good faith for the company, for Daybreak, to show that they respect their decision in not being completely supportive of emulated servers. So I think that was a good play, just to sort of make sure that Project Quarm wasn't in the line of fire there. And they've entered a written agreement with Daybreak, as I was saying. And the big thing is Project Quarm will be fast forwarding to Luckland when it returns. So that was definitely a really interesting, shocking piece of information from this whole thing, that Luckland was intended to come out in January 2026. So having it released in the end of July, whenever the server comes back, will definitely be a big twist to the experience. So the Bazaar will be available, the Nexus will be available, there'll be tons of more leveling zones, AAs will be available, so it will definitely completely change the dynamic of people's goals when they come back to their characters. Especially for me, I was definitely looking to just farm some Velius faction and hopefully get some raid pieces, and I mean hit level 60. That was kind of the big thing. I'm not even level 60 yet. So going into Luckland, I feel like it's like, oh, I gotta, progress even more. But I'm just gonna take it slow when I return. I think Luckland's cool, and I want to explore some of the zones on the Shaman, so that'll be really fun. And some other details about the server is a reduction in custom content. So one thing that I'm definitely really skeptical of this whole agreement, and something I can't say I'm too surprised, but I didn't realize how specific Daybreak would want to limit Quarm. It just seems kind of petty, and it seems sort of desperate that they're so intricately aware of these little custom designs in Quarm, and they want so much to remove them. I just found that so surprising that they cared that much, and it just comes across as just, I don't know, just, it gave me a weird vibe from Daybreak Games that they're that adamant about removing some custom player race and class combinations. Like, how does that matter that much? Like, I see that they're just trying to remove the uniqueness that made Quarm special, to try to get people to hop back on the TLPs or live, but it just makes me not want to play on EQ Live even more now, because it just seems so petty. But from that, they're removing some custom zones: Miria's Domain, the Shard of Decay, Plane of Injustice, Fireclad Ocean. I wasn't even aware that those zones even existed on Project Quarm. I remember the Plane of Injustice from the anniversary event, but maybe I wasn't playing during the other zones, so those don't affect me too much. Same with the raid encounter Kadisha. I'm not really sure what that is, but it still kind of sucks to see custom content that was had time put into it for the server just being forced to be removed because Daybreak wants it removed. It just, I don't know, it just gives me a weird vibe. And the custom player race and class unlocks, I found that somewhat laughable as well, that they care so much. The Ixar Rogue, the Ixar Ranger, Wood Elf Beast Lord, Barbarian Paladin, the Froglock race, like, these need to go. Like, just in the discussions, Daybreak just says, these need to go. No custom class race combinations. And armor tinting. You need to get rid of armor tinting. It's like, okay, sure. I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird. I'm grateful that this agreement was even possible, but I was just surprised to see that those very specific custom aspects of the server that I felt like didn't really have that much gravity or such an appeal that this would amass a flock of all these players, because I assume Daybreak just wants less people to play on Project Quarm, and I don't know, it just seemed like those things being removed just seemed more irrelevant, and I don't know, it just I'm just still trying to wrap my mind around that they thought that was such a big deal to remove. And I think the biggest change besides Luckland being unlocked is, oh, I didn't take a screenshot of it, but there is going to be a 1,200 player cap on the server. And I think that was the biggest thing that Daybreak wanted. And from what I heard, Daybreak initially wanted there to be a 1,000 player cap. And luckily, Secrets and the Quarm team negotiated it up to 1,200 players, luckily. So, I mean, I don't usually see 1,200 players on Quarm besides peak times. I usually see maybe 900 to 1,100 players on, but especially during expansion unlocks and special events and whatever, 1,200 players max is definitely a big dent into the server. I think it definitely takes away a lot of the potential for these mass events and mass player, whatever, just all playing on the server together. I think that is definitely a shame, but I understand why they wanted there to be a player cap. Just from a business level, they don't want as many players as possible flocking to another server that's not supported by the IP. But I'm just trying to also see their intent here. So if the server's max is 1,200 players and there's a queue for people joining, does Daybreak expect the people waiting in queue to just get bored and want to just play on EQ Live? Is that their intention? For me, at least, it kind of just gives me a bad taste in my mouth that they would care even that much, and it just makes me a little bit more demagnetized from playing on EQ Live and the TLPs in general. Because as I said, it just seems kind of petty, and it's just a shame that they wanted there to be that many changes. And I'm not saying that all these changes are going to break the game, they're going to break Quarm. It's not Quarm anymore, it's completely different, which in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. It's going to be mostly the same experience. I think these custom zones and custom race combinations and armor tinting and whatever, I think the removal of them won't really affect my gameplay experience personally, but I could see people that were rocking a Barbarian Paladin or some other race class combination, they're probably going to be hurting a bit, because that sucks to have to be forced to play a different race class combination. It just seems kind of silly, but that's the changes that we got in the agreement. And a big thing here is we may remove extra additions on request by Daybreak Game Company at any time, so that sets a precedent of further changes, further removals. So maybe don't get too attached to certain custom aspects of the server, because Daybreak might get even more petty and want to remove them. But I am grateful for Daybreak Games for coming to an agreement. Thank you, Daybreak Games, if you're watching this video. You didn't have to agree to this at all, so I definitely respect that they were able to come to any sort of agreement at all to keep the server running with the blessing, the grace of the higher up company. So I'm not trying to make this video too negative, because it is at the end of the day a very positive thing that there is an agreement with Quarm. But just personally, I wasn't expecting the changes to be as specific as they were, and it just makes me kind of curious, just Daybreak Games' own insight about the server. I wonder if people on Daybreak Games who work at Daybreak Games were actually playing on the server, because it seems like some of these components are so specific that how would they even know all this stuff to begin with, unless maybe Secrets wanted to display every custom component. If Daybreak might have requested to see what customizations Project Quarm has, I assume that was the case. But yeah, it's something notable that I wanted to talk about in this video, and a little bit more of some specifics. The Luckland raids won't begin until January 1st of 2026, so that is definitely good news, and that was something that definitely gave me a sense of relief, because I was excited to do some Velius raiding, and so it's cool to see that that will still be relevant for the time being until Luckland was supposed to come out. And I think a big reason why Luckland is being released early was because since they had Beast Lords available at the tail end of Kunark and Velius, I think Daybreak requested that they wanted Luckland to be released if Beast Lords were available, which again, why does it matter that much? Just because that they just wanted to get rid of that because it was custom, because it made the server unique, and it made it more appealing than TLPs where that kind of custom capability isn't allowed at all, or even thought about in the design of these servers. So yeah, it seems like Daybreak's intention was to make Project Quarm, get rid of the uniqueness of the custom components of Project Quarm, and lock the population to 1,200 players. Basically, yeah, just limiting the capacity that Project Quarm is able to act under. So it'll still be a good time. I'm still gonna have fun playing on Quarm, but definitely a shame to see those limitations. But again, it's a double-edged sword, because it's really cool to see an agreement, but it sucks that the agreement had those kind of stipulations. And the Bazaar will have support for offline traders, which is really good news. And some of the things that will not be changing are the legacy items, so we'll still have the Mana Rock, like the Dark Elf Mask of the Deceiver, the Fungi Shirt, loot lockouts, guild instances, PvP instances, shared bank, anti-bottlenecking features, new game plus, XP pods luckily, solo self-found hardcore modes, Vexar, the box of Abukar. So a lot of those little quality of life features are still going to be on the server, so that's always good news to have there. And that's kind of the main gist that I thought pertinent to talk about in this agreement with Daybreak Games. So again, as a kind of summation of my thoughts on this, I have been kind of laser focused on this whole scenario since Project Quarm decided to shut down after the lawsuit with Hero's Journey. So seeing this announcement definitely brightened my day. Just seeing an official agreement with Daybreak Games is really cool. I didn't expect the changes to be as specific as they were. I don't think that they're going to be game breaking or server breaking in any way. I think Project Quarm is going to be just as fun, but I just found it kind of silly that Daybreak wanted to make those many requests just for the server in specific. I just found it kind of surprising, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this agreement in the comment section. Are you excited to hop back on Quarm? Did you play on Quarm at all, or are you kind of playing on the Hero's Journey or EverQuest Live? Do you think the agreement was positive for Quarm? I think it is, because just having an agreement means that Quarm will be back online. If there wasn't an agreement, Quarm would be pretty much dead. So definitely grateful that they were able to come to this agreement, as I've said previously in this video many times. It's really cool. Yeah, just some silly removals, but I think it's going to be just as fun. Luckland's going to be on the horizon, so that'll be a very interesting experience. And that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to present in this video. Just a little update on the situation. I might make a video if anything crazy happens in the future of some new announcement. I definitely expect to see some Project Quarm videos on the horizon as well once the server's back on. I really enjoy playing the Shaman, and I've been itching to hop back on. I've been playing Turtle WoW, and it just does not itch the same spot that Project Quarm does. And the donation store on Turtle WoW is definitely very off-putting, and it definitely doesn't feel like a very, I don't know, a very faithful thing to have on a private server for selling $50 mounts and huge bags. That's the same kind of shit that Daybreak does on their TLPs, but Turtle WoW is just a private server, so it definitely rubs me the wrong way there. And I've always been grateful that Project Quarm has always run on a non-for-profit basis, and that's always made the game feel very much like a genuine, authentic fantasy space where the economy is completely unaffected by the real-world economy. And that's why I've always loved playing on Project 1999, Project Quarm, because it just has that really authentic bubble world feeling that doesn't have any sort of sway from corporations or investors. And I'm glad to see Quarm hopping back on. I can't wait to play on it again. I can't wait to play with all my guildies and just people that I've met through Quarm. It's gonna be a fun time. We'll have a huge reunion party. Sorry, only 1,200 allowed, no more. The rest of you are gonna have to wait in the queue once that's developed. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, and I hope the rest of your week goes well. Take care, everyone. Peace.